Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this.
Hey guys, can we ask you a favour?
Can we ask, if you haven't already, please make sure that you're following us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you can get updated with all the latest episodes every week when they come out. You never know, it might just be the thing that you need to hear at that time. Also, don't forget you can watch us on YouTube, so make sure you head over there and subscribe to us there.
And share with all your friends.
Thanks, guys.
Hi! Welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash
And Becky, the guest edition.
Today, we have on the show Lucy Shrimpton. She's an award-winning entrepreneur, speaker, writer, and the visionary founder of both the Sleep Nanny and Born to be Brilliant. With over 26 years in business, Lucy brings a unique blend of strategic brilliance and soulful leadership to everything she does. She's known for helping people create holistic success, aligning business growth with well-being, purpose, and personal power.
Oh,
Just a bit of us mixed in with the business strategy, which is not us.
not me at all.
I'm trying. Anyway,
But she was enough to inspire me to be a businesswoman, entrepreneur,
Yes.
because I'm sitting here listening and we were just saying you and Lucy are so similar. So that was really interesting, me listening to you two just basically saying the same things.
Yeah.
But also she is very inspirational and she made me want to go out and start a business.
Oh, well, I think that's all you need to know, isn't it? Hope you enjoyed the show, guys.
Today, we have on the show the amazing Lucy Shrimpton. Lucy, it's so lovely to have you here.
Oh, it's so lovely to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me on.
Oh, so excited to get talking to you, Lucy. I know this podcast episode is going to have everyone leaving feeling really high and high vibrational and motivated and ready to go. But first, before we dig into all of that, could you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you're doing now, and actually how you came to be here?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I would love to. Well, there's a lot, so I will try and keep it concise for you. But yeah, right now, I would say in my most recent manifestation, I am an inspirational speaker, writer, and podcast host as well, and founder of Born to be Brilliant. So very much aligned with your way of thinking. It's all about helping people to achieve success in a holistic way through mind, body, and soul. And now that's taken more than 26 years, I would say, but I've been a business owner for 26 years, which seems crazy. And last time I was employed was 22 years ago, I think. So little crossover there. And I've done all kinds of things, all the things. In the 2 adult years of my life that I was an employee, I think I did all the jobs. Literally, you name it, I tried it. And I would, usually I would love the training. I'd love learning new things. And I would get doing it and go, oh, is that it? Bored now. And then I'd be moving on. I'm a born performer. So I was born into the entertainment world. My dad was a really well-known DJ and entertainer. And it's in my genes, I have to say. And I started my professional career in the entertainment space. So I was a professional singer and performer, and I created shows and had a very successful Girls Aloud tribute act, I'll have you know, which is, it was a bit different and out there, but that was so much fun. And the performing world took me into being an agent, and I had an agency of performers and then promotional staff. And around the time I then had my babies, so they are now, as we record this, 12 and 14, so we're going back that far, they changed everything. I mean, it does, doesn't it? Going into parenthood does change everything. My husband had joined the agency with me, and he was doing great with that and running it. And it kind of occurred to me that actually the business wouldn't do any better or worse without me being present in it all the time. And I'd grown super passionate about the topic of sleep as a mum with 2 under 2. It becomes a priority, right?
Yeah.
So I'd seen so many people struggle with it. I'd had challenges as well. Long story short, I set about working in that space, and I thought, right, I'm going to become the go-to expert in this. And this is back when sleep consulting wasn't very big. There were just a few people dotted around doing it in sort of 2013, 14. And so I did that. And I started a new business, and I thought, hey, why not have all our eggs in one basket as a family? I'm going to do something else. Perfect timing. Little ones were at nursery. So I loved that. And I published my first book in 2015 on that topic, and gosh, that's a decade ago. And then I then grew that into a training academy, because I thought, how do I expand? I'm only one person, I can't reach everyone. So I thought, well, if I train other people in this field, like that could work. So yes, I'm responsible for the hundreds of sleep consultants that are now out there, partly. And that was great. For 6 or 7 years, we trained over 300 people in 23 countries around the world through that brand, the Sleep Nanny, which I'm still founder and CEO of, but I have an amazing team now and a management team in there, and we are actually now franchised. So we have franchisee sleep consultants now doing their thing. So it's great and it's really fulfilling. But I guess the thing that got me to Born to be Brilliant and holistic success is having been a multifaceted business owner and kind of done a lot of the things, work closely with a lot of particularly women and mums in business. I've seen so many kind of burn out or have huge success, but at a cost. And that could be a cost of health, relationships, fulfillment even. And you can get to a point where you think, oh, I've created everything I wished for, but actually it's almost like creating a monster. And then you're like, why do I feel tied to this? Why am I not getting the light, why is it not lighting me up? Why do I not feel good in what I do? And that took me on another level of exploration of like, well, surely, well, I know we have a little saying, don't we, of like, follow the joy, like where's the joy? Like, follow the joy and do what you love and you'll find where you're meant to be. So yeah, I knew for probably, to be fair, like 5 years that there was something else I was going to need to do at some point. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And somewhere deep down, I knew that it was something different. Not like that job or that career or that thing. It wasn't something I could see or identify out there. It was something I knew came from deep within, which is why I knew that it was going to have to come at its own pace. And yeah, it's slowly but surely managed to get to the surface. And then I hit a whole load of blockers, like my own inner blockers of whether, was self-belief, with imposter syndrome, with even sort of visibility and fears, like so many things were standing in my way. And I'm no secret to say I've actually worked with Tash, and you've helped me amazingly delve into that and into the subconscious to unlock a lot of those blockers. But that's the very quick, we can unpick as much of that as you like, but that's the quick kind of fast track story of kind of my beginnings through to Born to be Brilliant and the whole holistic success movement that I'm here to stand for loud and proud today.
Wow, that's amazing.
Good, isn't it? There's just so much in there that I was like thinking, I need to remember that. That. But the first thing kind of I want to highlight as like you tell your story is it. I just feel like, doesn't it stand out like to you? Obviously, I've heard Lucy's story, but she's just always had a goal in her mind, hasn't she? Yeah. And she's just like, I'm going to make this happen. Like you heard her language, like when you first said, or when you were like, I'm going to be the go-to sleep expert. Like you were a mum, you had 2 young children, There was nothing to say that like that you were gonna be that or you could be that, and yet you were like, this is what I'm gonna do, and look what you did. Like,
such a clear vision as well.
Yeah. And just you said those words and you were going to go for it. And I think that I just really wanted to highlight that part, because I feel like there's so many people out there listening now who have their own areas of, you know, expertise. And I don't mean because they've gone to college or university or they've studied this or studied that. They have life experience, expertise. And that's for a reason as well. Like, I personally believe that because you've come into this world and experienced this, because that's what your souls come here for. But there's so many people out there just like you that have so much to share with the world and are here to share it with the world, but they just don't have that like belief that they can do that. And I think that's the difference between, you know, people maybe like you, that you had, I do think you being a born performer helps. I think it does give you a certain level of confidence as a performer, doesn't it? To just be out there. That you spoke about the visibility thing. I think that helps with that, doesn't it? Because it gives you a little push out.
And I think I probably had more audacity then, before I took some knocks, because there's no doubt about it. Like, when you take a few knocks, it does make you stop and like question yourself again, and that I think is even harder, the ability to kind of get back up again. And I think that happens to a lot of people in business, especially if you start to see some success and momentum. There's always somebody or something, or even like economical things that can come along and knock you, but it honestly was like an unconscious level of audacity at the beginning, where I just kind of said, that's what I've got my sights on. But I didn't know how. I didn't have a formula. I didn't have a plan for it. I just knew what I wanted and just kept putting one foot in front of the other. So I think that was, that's how it came together.
Yeah. And I think like that's just a message for everybody. If you don't have to know how, you don't have to know the how, you just have to, like you said, like we always say, follow your joy, get in touch with kind of like your intuition, as in how something feels. Don't try and project too much into the future, but this is where it's kind of like that it's contradiction, isn't it? Because you have to project into the future, because you have to be able to say, I am going to be the go-to sleep expert. But then you have to say, okay, so I'm going to hold that in my mind, but now I'm going to pull it back. I'm going to come back to the present. Now, what do I have to do in this moment? What is my next step? And that's how you take the action, isn't it?
It is. And seeing it, like you say, though, having that vision in your mind's eye, like I knew what stage I wanted to be on. I knew who was where I wanted to be, and that I wanted to be where she was. And then coincidentally, she left the industry, and I'm not even sure why, but she completely left the industry. I think she married a rich man and just quit all over. I don't know. But for whatever reasons, people now would never have heard of this lady. But I could, I saw what she was doing, and I thought, I can do that. But I actually think I can do it better, because I think that I can deliver it in a way that makes more sense to the audience, and in a way that really resonates and connects with an audience. And that's what I felt like I had. And I remember proudly speaking to some event organizers about my 1,300 followers that I managed to get on Facebook, thinking that was huge. And now that's, nothing. But there was no other real social media back then apart from Facebook. And I actually think maybe that is partly why, like, it's a good thing, because I wasn't comparing myself to everything else. I wasn't scrolling all the things. Think about Facebook in the early 20 teens, like it was social media. You just shared stuff with your friends and people you went to school with. It was, it wasn't what it is today. So I didn't feel any of that competitive, must do this, follow that formula, copy what she's doing, I'm not good enough. Like, none of that was going on for me. I just went, I want that. I'm going to do what I can to make that happen, and just follow my initiative.
Yeah. And that's just so important. Everything you've just said there is what I wish everybody could know. And again, don't get me wrong, it's something that I work on every single day as well. It's like, you have to stay in your own lane. This comparisonitis is going to get you nowhere, is it? And I think what's very evident with you is from the start you were in touch with what your soul wanted.
Yes.
And it was coming from your heart. It was coming from that space of, I need to do this because I have something to share. It brings me joy, because you loved performing, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I just know I can be good at it because you were already connected to your soul. And I think that is such an important thing to understand in so many ways, because one, we're all so disconnected from what our souls want for the most part, aren't we? We don't know what we want. We're not connected to our souls. And so then if you are then told, obviously programming, well, you need to go to university and you need to get a good job and you need to do this, and we follow it, don't we? I was there, I did it. And then you wonder why you end up feeling, like you said, in burnout. You've kind of attained the success that you want. You've achieved the things that you set out to achieve, but none of it is lighting you up. You feel completely kind of, what is this my life?
Yeah.
And it's because you've gone down, you've done all the things, you've worked hard, and yes, you have achieved, but you haven't been following your soul. And I think that's the different. You're a great example of what happens when you do follow your soul. You don't care about other people achieving this or that. You don't care about the followers, because you're just in line with what you want, and that's you following your joy, and that's where all the success inside and then eventually outside comes from.
And it can change too. Like, it really can evolve as we grow. Like, that soul's calling for me was being on the stage with a mic in my hand and singing and dancing until I was a mum, and then it just wasn't. And then it felt like I was a human jukebox, and I was like, if I just sing one more ABBA song, I'm going to shoot myself. It just, the joy was sucked out of it eventually in that way. Coincidentally, I am doing a bit again now, but for pure joy and fun, and I love that. But the same happens in, I think, different progressions and stages in life. And with the sleep business at the beginning, it was so soul-led in that I knew I had a message to communicate. And that's actually the golden thread that runs through me from childhood to now, is communicator. I'm a communicator, whether that's through song, words, writing. That's my real core essence. And I wanted back then to communicate this message, that because I knew people were suffering from lack of sleep and not knowing how to help their kids sleep better, and I knew I had a way of helping them to unpick that and find a way to solve it, not follow this strategy or this, but I'm picking it off a shelf, but actually I knew I could help them in a bespoke way for them. And I was so like, I've got to share this with the world. And the thing that actually made me take the leap and do this was a conversation actually with my daughter's key worker at nursery. They do like nursery parents evenings. And she said, I've got this mum here, she's not slept in 2 years, she really needs to do what you did. And I was like, well, yeah, why doesn't she? Oh yeah, maybe you should pass on the details. I was like, that's enough, I can't hear this story anymore, I've got to do something, I've got to help people. So it was so pure and heart-led. It was like, I need to share this message and I need to help people make a difference. And I think that when we come at things from that, to do good in this world, to make an impact, the success, the money, all the other things, they come as a byproduct of that. Whereas when we go, now what's going to make me loads of money? This person on Instagram did this thing, I better follow that. It's like, it's never going to land. It's just not, it doesn't have that passion and the power behind the soul-led thing. And that's where I knew I needed to shift to my next level without, it was not either or. It wasn't like, oh, that's the end of sleep for me and now it's this. It's like, no, that was a stepping stone, because in that business, not only have I learned how to coach, how to support parents, I even talk to children, how I trained adults, so like teacher skills. I now coach and mentor franchisees, so like the business coaching side of it, their life coaching side of it, like all the things. It's been like a massive training ground for me. And now I can do what I do best there and let that fly, whilst then moving into the next phase for me, which, you know, is all about this communication, like through everything I've talked about sleep. I can tell you that's just one of the many cogs that create success ultimately.
Yes. I just love that. And like, you know, like you can hear as well from your story, and I truly believe this because I've seen this in my own life, and I've seen it as an example in lots of other people's lives, and you've just done it there. Like your singing was, like you said, it was just opening you up, and a starting point from where you're eventually going to be, which is this public speaker, this person who is on the stage with a microphone in her hand, but in a
that's
very
my happy
different
place.
way. Right, exactly. And every time you've kind of held on to that, haven't you? And yes, you may have gone over here and over there, but again, the example of how you've kind of worked through your life is that you have held on to those basic principles that light you up, that mission within you. And I think it's also a really good example of how you have become successful, and you are successful because you haven't been scared to evolve and to change. Because we
won't do that.
No, we're so stuck in our ways of change, aren't we?
It's great listening to Lucy, because it's like giving other people permission to do the same. It's okay to go off over here and over there, and Tash does the same. You two are so similar, and because I'm not like that at all, so I'm just like listening to you two like, oh my god, that's what you guys do.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, because for my example, I went to medical school. Now you'd think, well, lots of people go, oh, that was kind of, why'd you do that? You're not doing anything anywhere close to being medical. And I'm like, I learned so much that I use now from being in medical school, and not just, you know, the medical knowledge, but just the experience I had of going away to university, all the things that I learned on a personal level from that. I take so much from that time. And I brought it into what I do now. And actually what I realized was that, a bit like you, where you're like, I have a microphone, that's my happy place. I realized, oh my gosh, I want to care for people. I want to help people feel better. And as a 4-year-old, you're like, well, I'd be a doctor then.
Yeah.
And it was like, I had a moment, you know, when I kind of, after I lost my mum, and I was like, what do I want to do with my life? It was just like, oh, of course. You're here to, you like to help and nurture people. And I had little signs along the way where I realized that, you know, but it all came together. And from there, that was when I got back in touch with my soul's purpose again. And everything just happened, didn't it? It all kind of fell into place. I had no idea I was going to train as a hypnotherapist or become, you know, like an expert in the subconscious mind. I definitely didn't know I was going to be doing all the spiritual stuff that I do now. But much like you, I put one foot in front of the other. I held my hands up and I was like, I don't know where I'm going, but I know I want to help people. I know I want to work with people's minds. I'm just going to see what happens. And it's just like, when you look back now and you see the little, you know, the coincidences and the threads that happened, it's amazing. But again, I didn't worry about, you know, what people would think of me talking about this kind of new stuff. I didn't worry about how many followers I had. I didn't worry about who was seeing me. I just did it because it gave me joy, and I couldn't help but do it. I had to share, just like you did. And I became really successful in the hypnotherapy world really quite quickly. But that leads on to something that we can talk about now with you as well. And I'd love to hear this from your perspective. That all happened so easily because I was in total flow at that point. And then, bam, you hit another level, and all those little subconscious demons started creeping in again, and everything that I thought I had mastered and I thought was okay with, I was like, uh-oh, why is this coming in again? Because it's like a new level, new devil. And so then I had to almost let go of that old part of me that was easy and that kind of really flowed. And I'm like, okay, this is a whole nother level that I have to dive deeper into it. And then you start unblocking these things again, and then you get access to another level where you can fly. But then as you do it, you realize there's always going to be other levels to unlock, and it's always on a subconscious level. So I'd love to hear now your experience with that, because obviously we've heard how you've got to where you are now and your level of success, but actually you've hit blockers along the way that, you know, you seem to have cracked and nailed earlier on, but then they've come back up to bite you later.
Yeah, definitely. And you're absolutely right. At every level, you're going to get tested. But it is like that, isn't it? It's like a test of like, are you ready for this next level? Let's just see. And like, I'm sure there is an element of that happens. I think what you described there as well takes a lot of trust, like trust that it will come together, trust that you're moving in the right direction, and also being stubborn. I've had a lot of times where people have said like, focus on that, don't do that, and I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, I'm gonna do it because I need to do it, and you don't have to understand. And so I think that's tenaciousness helps. But yeah, these subconscious blockers can also come in disguise. So I think change is scary. Any kind of change is scary. There's a lot of people at the moment that are really scared of AI. I think it's got huge potential for us. So it's being open-minded, and yeah, okay, I'm pretty optimistic-minded anyway. So I'll look for the good in things because best way to exist, isn't it? Yeah. We're only here for a certain amount of time. May as well enjoy it. So, but being open-minded to possibility. And then, yeah, so when things do come and challenge us, stopping and going, well, what's the lesson here? Or what's the message here? Or what's holding me back here? I know I've talked to you about things where I've gone, just hovering over the send button or the post button. And why? What am I afraid of? Like, this is an amazing piece of content, or this is an amazing piece of communication. Why am I so scared about putting it out there? And then it comes up with like, okay, is it fear of rejection? Is it fear that people might respond negatively to it? Is it a who does she think she is kind of thing? And you can go right back to bitchy girls in like year 7 age and go, oh yeah, because that happened or that happened. And sometimes it really is like, very well, it could be the smallest thing that happened in childhood that has over time been reinforced by other little things and little things and little things that have created a subconscious belief that it's not safe to be seen, or it's not safe to put that out there because a bad thing might happen. And it just it holds us back. So I think as we grow and stretch our comfort zones, those things change. So in comfort zone level 1, it's like, okay, I'm brave enough to go on a stage and hold a mic in my hand and sing some songs. Comfort zone level 2 is like, okay, so now how about it's this audience and it's this topic and that's more vulnerable. Okay, can I do that? And so it's not always the thing, it's the meaning behind it and how that's stretching our comfort zones at each level. So just as you say, like when you think you've overcome a potential subconscious blocker, you've overcome it at that level, but when you stretch your comfort zone and you're into new realms, it might come back again and you need to address it again at another level. It's so true.
It becomes quite addictive.
What, doing the work,
leveling up all the time, you become comfortable and then you want that feeling again.
Yeah.
And I think yes, because now, like when I start feeling comfortable,
you don't like it, do you? No. Whereas I'm like, I'm nice and comfy over here. Just leave me here.
Yeah. But then, is there an element there though? You mentioned Becky about being addicted, but there can also be an addiction to the dopamine, an addiction to the adrenaline, and an addiction to the struggle sometimes. So like if all you've known is high stress, you can be addicted to that. And so when it becomes easy breezy, life's good, bringing in the money, not a problem. And then suddenly you're like, wait, what can I do to just upset the apple cart a bit to make it hard again? Because I thrive off hard. And like we do that. I think so many people do that at a subconscious level, not intentionally. They don't intentionally go, what can I do to sabotage my business today?
That's the problem, isn't it? It's so subconscious. People don't realize they're doing it.
They don't realize they're doing it. And, even I know I've done it in the past where I've gone, I've had a really successful month. Brilliant. I can spend loads of money on this thing. And that was the most stupid thing to do. But at a subconscious level, I almost like, okay, if I get rid of enough, then I can stay at this level of struggle and strive. And that's familiar. And so let's stay in that familiar place, because I'm not sure what it looks like if I don't have that worry or that stress or that, I think that can come in. So many people do that with, I'm sure, I've heard people in that kind of position with relationships that aren't healthy, addicted to that, almost the fight, the strain, because complete peace, freedom, and holistic success is so alien to them. They wouldn't know who they are in that place.
I love this. Like you said so many things. I'm like, I don't know what to say, and it's so like Lucy, I'm passionate about this. And when I read that book, the upper limit problem, is that what it's called? What's it called? The one that I recommended to you?
Or the Giant Leap?
Giant Leap, thank you. The big leap.
The big leap. There you go.
We'll get there. The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. He talks about this upper limit problem, and exactly like you said, we've got a thermostat in everything, in all areas, that we have set because of our beliefs and our childhood programming at a particular level, and everyone's levels are different. But effectively, when it goes above that level, your subconscious will do whatever it wants to bring it down to get back to this thermostat, because that's where you're comfortable. So the work that I'm doing and the job that I'm trying to do in the subconscious work is lift people's thermostats just up higher and higher, because we just need to be more open to receiving. And I think it's just such an important point, because, for example, like you said, if you had a really great month and you had earned a load of money, your go-to way of subconscious sabotage is to go out and spend it. My subconscious way of sabotage would be to go, oh my God, you've earned this amount of money, but it's not going to happen again. So now you need to hoard it and keep it, because and this is how it becomes really difficult to kind of see, because we're all different. And this is the beauty of getting in touch with your own personal limiting beliefs, and why back from childhood you have them. Because once you do that, once you understand, oh, this is me, this is my subconscious sabotaging myself, you can have a different conversation. You can start telling yourself, or that part of you, it's okay, don't worry, there's plenty of opportunities to make more money. You did it this month, you'll do it another month. You don't have to hoard. Money flows in, money flows out. It's an energy. Let go. You would be like, we don't have to spend it all now. Like, it's going to keep coming. So you can buy it if you want it. Do you really want it? Buy it. If you don't, put some money aside. And you can say, you have those different conversations, because this is what I love about this work as well. And you touched on it earlier. It's when you said you wanted to help people in a bespoke way for sleep. It's not about telling people strategies, do this. We feel the same with the strategies and the frameworks, and there is no one size fits all for any human. We're all different. We all have different thermostats, subconscious beliefs. And so I think, what I'm certainly trying to do, and what I think you're trying to do with the holistic success movement, is empower people themselves to be able to do it for themselves, not 100%. What we tell you to do. Do what you need to do for you.
100%. Like, empowering people that's the whole thing, isn't it? Because if there's so many blueprints and frameworks and formulas you can tap into, and it especially frustrates me when people almost sort of sell their, I did it, I'll show you how, because I'm like, the variables there are, even if they say like, and if I can, anyone can, because who am I? It's like, yes, 100% anyone can, but they won't follow the exact same steps you did, because they were your steps, and they were unique to you and your skills and your knowledge and your environment and all the other energetic things. So I think, and when people subscribe to those things, the way I describe this is, yes, en masse, you'll have a few people who follow it and it lands for them. In the exact same way, when I've ever taught parents about kids' sleep, I could, or you could pull a book off the shelf. There were some very well-known famous books on kids' sleep, and you could pull a book off the shelf and you could give it to 100 families, and maybe like 7 or 8 of them will follow it to the letter and it will work perfectly for them. But the majority, there'll be too many nuances, and there'll be other things they'll need to do. And I think the same is true of anything. So somebody who goes, oh yeah, I'm going to buy that, work with that coach, do exactly what she did and get her to tell me what to do. There will be a handful of people who go, yes, that was amazing and it worked for me as well. But for the majority, there'll be are the nuances. So that's where I think it's almost a duty of care for people in those positions of expertise and authority to actually share and ask the right question, be a great coach and mentor and ask the right questions to unlock them at a deeper level than just follow these steps, because that's where the empowerment comes in. It's not follow this and you'll be fine. It's what do you need? How do I, even in our franchise, we don't teach our franchisees to all do the exact same thing. We go, right, let's look at your unique skills. What lights you up? How should you market your business? Because the way you do it and the way you do it isn't going to be exactly the same. It's going to have to come from you. And the ones that listen and work with us in that way are unlocked, are freed, and they do it and they thrive. The ones that stay kind of like, I literally just want a checkbox system and, robotic thing, and they don't find the who in the formula, they just spin their wheels. So I think that's true of everything, life, business, everything. You've got to unlock your inner you.
And I wish they'd take that back to school.
Yes.
Get them when they're children. Try and do what you two do and empower. I know it's difficult. I know there's so many of them, but you can.
Yeah.
You could have an element of empowering each child, couldn't you? You could work that in somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Them to think for themselves, and what they do, they churn us all out. And some of us, I think me, who become indoctrinated and do, what you're saying, like, oh no, I have to do what they did. Yeah. Otherwise I can't do it. So then you try and do what they did and it doesn't work. Then you lose your confidence. Yeah. And you think, well, I'm never going to try anything ever again.
It's an industrial age. It's an industrial age education system, isn't it? Yeah. And it's like it needs to evolve. You're absolutely right. There's no out of the box thinking. It's formulaic, even in the sense that it's do these things, take these exams, do the GCSEs, go on to this. It's like, who said? And I think that's why I maybe got set up on a good start, because I left school at 14. I carried on education, but a different way, and did things alternatively, because that particular boxed system wasn't working for me. I was sat in lessons with teachers trying to tell a whole bunch of girls to stop talking. And I was like, this is pointless. I'm not really achieving anything here. So I was like, what else can we do? How can we do this differently? And
I'd love that.
I just love what you did there at that young age.
Yeah. Because that's the difference between me and Lucy. So, and I kind of want to make this distinction, because if there's people out there, like you said, oh, I don't want to go outside, I can't think outside of the box. Yeah. Don't think that it's just because, so Lucy was very lucky because she had that and kept that from the start. I am innately the same as Lucy, as we all are, but I had to learn the hard way to bust out of that box, because I am a born rebel. I realize that now. I am like, I hate the rules, I hate frameworks, I don't want to be told what to do. But you would never have guessed that. Anyone that knows me from school would be like, Tasha, the little good girl, followed the rules, did everything she was told, did everything by the book, no, authority is the only way, we follow. And I had to go through a whole massive breakdown and awakening to be like, oh wow. And I've done 180 flip now. And now I'm like, screw the rules, screw, conventional qualifications and learning. It's all about coming from your soul. But I just kind of wanted to, sorry, I jumped in there, but I wanted to make that distinction for people that you don't have to be born with it. You can awaken yourself to it. I had a bit of a bumpy ride to my awakening, but that's why now I'm so passionate about doing the podcast and the work that I do, because I'm like, you all have the inner Lucy within you, like, just bring it out.
And I think sometimes there are triggers as well that can kind of give you that shove. As like, I can't take all the credit for that at 14. That wasn't all my thinking. I was my mum was behind that and was like, that we need to do something different. And she did all the finding out, what can we do? What's legally, like, homeschooling wasn't much of a thing back then, but we could have done that. It wasn't, I didn't do that, but she was like, what's possible and spoke to the local education authority, and she did all the, you know, the back work, so I have to give her credit for that. And she's a bit of a rebel in that way, and like, okay, don't have to just follow the crowd. And I was like that at school. When everyone wore long, floaty, flowery skirts, I had a tiny little short one. And when, you know, I always like to be a bit different. That was just me. But things I think can trigger it. And I know around that time also was where my parents' divorce happened. And I know that rocked my world. So I think, and you and I have both lost a parent as well. Like, you know, some years later, my dad passed away. And like, they're different stages in life. But I think at that point in life, it does make you go, hang on, is this just following along like sheep? Is this it? Because like, this has just happened and everything isn't all just perfect. And so who says that this formula is right? And then again at 18, when my dad died, it was like, well, that was unexpected. It was very sudden, unexpected, like gone. And it's like, whoa, if that can happen, he just turned 49. I'm like, if that can happen, who knows how long do we have? What's it all for? So do I want to spend it just letting life happen to me as it comes up, or do I want to create it and make it the best it can be? And I think sometimes sort of almost like pattern interrupts can really stop you and go, okay, what else? How else? A different way. But yeah, you're right. That's not exclusive to those who have dramatic things happen in their life. Any of us can unlock that.
Yes. Yeah, and I think, you know, I do think that grief and a loss of someone very close to you is a huge opener, isn't it? Because just like you said there, it does make you question life, doesn't it? All of a sudden, it puts a lot into perspective. And so I do think that grief is a huge transformer. It's a huge opener of your mind. But again, you know, maybe some of us have had to have this journey to be busted open like that. So then we can then step up and say, do you know what? You don't have to go through that. If we can talk and speak in a way that actually, I'll say it over and over and over again, because I know how the subconscious mind works and we have to keep hearing it. So we say the same things on the podcast over and over, because I know that sometimes, like, you'll say it and you'll hear, how many times have we said this?
I know.
I've heard that so many times, but one person will say it at one particular point and you'll go, oh my God, I get it now. I get it now. And that's sometimes all it needs to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but you have to have an open mind. You have to be open to thinking bigger. Then the best thing I can say to do that is be curious. Question everything. Question it all. And COVID is such a good anchor point for that, because how many people did that just wake up and just go, oh, hang on a minute, how long are we going to do what we're told now? This is a bit of a farce. And then you let that starts working its way into your mind, doesn't it? And then you're like, well, if I'm questioning that, maybe you should question that and what that else? And that.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the best thing you can do. Just always question everything you think, well, no, I just have to do it. If ever you find yourself saying, no, I can't do that because I have to do this, question it. Why do you have to? Why?
It's that deep feeling, isn't it, inside, that you almost can't make it, there's no rational, there's no logical, it's a feeling thing. And I think when you know, like if you've got a very strong feeling about something, and likewise, so sometimes these dramatic things can take us the other way, and instead of opening us up to up leveling and possibility, they can take us down. And I've seen people go the other way with that and go sort of inward and closed off and more limiting and more restrictive because of, I guess, fear and almost a belief that they're doomed, that everything's just difficult and hard, and almost like the woe is me type thinking. And so things can jolt us, I guess, in all directions. But again, it comes back to being open.
It does.
Possibility.
And remembering that you have a choice, because you said it earlier, I choose to see the positive in all things because, well, surely that's the better way.
Feels better.
It feels better. And this is exactly what we always say, isn't it? Well, you have a choice. You can see the positives in things. You can see the negative in things. I know which one makes me feel better. I know which one I'm going to choose. Now, that's not to say that that's an easy choice.
No.
I think a lot of people who are living in that victim mentality, that victim mindset, can look at people like us and say, oh, well, it's all right for you to be all rainbows and sunshine. No, it's not. It takes effort. It's hard work every day. And what you may see on the outside, which is all, you know, rainbows and butterflies, you're not seeing like the internal work that goes on to constantly uphold that higher vibration. And I'm not saying like it's a struggle every day. You know, the more that you lean into that way of thinking, obviously from a subconscious point of view, you're more likely to easily go down that track of thinking. Obviously, that's why I do what I do. And energetically, if you're of that vibration, you're going to bring things that resonate of that vibration, which is going to prove to you that life is great and life is fun. But nevertheless, we live in this physical reality, which is tough sometimes, and you are going to get knocked down. And it's in those moments that people like us say, well, now I have a choice. What am I going to do? How can I see the positive in things? And I'm going to choose to do that even if it's hard. And that's how we do it, isn't it?
It is. And I think it is so much in our heads, like the choice thing, emotions, thoughts. I've written an article on choice actually, because I got really curious on this and like, how much choice do we have? And in a situation where somebody might feel completely stuck, trapped, like, but you know, everywhere I turn is a dead end. I really wanted to like delve into the neuroscience of this. And actually from a psychology point of view, we have 40% choice. So we're 50% genetically pre-programmed for our kind of optimism levels and happiness, 10% environmentally, so circumstances, what's happening around us, situations that could be, you know, life-threatening illness, it could be where you live in the world, it could be anything that's circumstantial, and 40% is in our control. That's a massive percentage. 40% is a lot. And so even if you let's just be really brutal and you're genetically programmed to be pretty bummed out all the time and you live in a really awful scenario, you know, any number of horrible situations that you cannot change because you don't have the wealth or the health or whatever it might take, 40% is still yours for the taking. Like, own that 40%. Yes. And just shift something up here and it will feel better, and you can just free yourself of a lot of thinking that just doesn't serve.
I really hope people like that are listening to this, because the more they hear things like this, like you said with the light bulb, the more people can hear it, one day they're going to really hear it and go, oh, just what Lucy did there when you broke it down like that. I just think that to a lot of people will go, oh, wow. Yeah. I see that. Yeah.
And also, I kind of want to add to that as well, which is what and this is obviously just from my personal experience too. And this is why I bring in again, going back to the holistic kind of idea, I had to bring in, when I was working with this, the soul part of it, because yes, like you just said, those kind of statistics. But what I would like to do, and what I do now, and what I would like other people to also be able to open their minds to is, so yes, you were born into, what do you say, 50% of your genetic disposition and 10% of where you're born or where you've ended up, or illnesses, etc. But what if you, before you came into this earth, actually chose to put yourself into that genetic 50% genetics, and you chose to have those particular illnesses or be born where you're born because you wanted to do that to learn lessons. Now, again, I know that's not going to work for everyone because not everyone's in that frame of mind, but I can't help but have to say it as well, because I know for me, that extra little part to those percentages kind of just goes, right, well, then whatever I've got, I chose this. So actually, I am in control. Yeah, I've got those percentages, but I chose it anyway. So now I'm going to do with it what I need to do with it because it's all for my best. I chose that for a reason. And then I feel that gives you an extra little level of autonomy.
Yeah, and even more on that, the 50% that was genetically programmed, there's neuroplasticity. We now know that we can rewire the brain, literally rewire. So just because it was genetically like your set point, I know that research now surely is going to need evolving on, because we can rewire the brain. That's been proven. So 40%'s in your control, even if you can't control the 10%, which I think I'd argue that most people probably can to some extent, but not in every. Let's think about this. Some extreme situations that really could be a bit sticky, but there's with the neuroplasticity part of it, it's like, let's look at how we can even start infiltrating that 50% and taking that over. Gives us a lot more being in the driving seat, doesn't it?
100%. And like when I hear those statistics like that 50%, I go, ooh, because obviously the work that I'm doing and that I'm like my mission, which I'm trying to get out with this whole, we are much bigger, we are much more than we think. There's a lot more going on than we realize, and again, we actually do have a lot more power than we realize, because you've got the whole manifestation part of things when you talk about, oh, you're more powerful than you realize. Yes, well, I think people are starting to realize and understand about manifesting now, and because it's been in the mainstream for quite a while. But going back to that 50%, like you said, yes, there's neuroplasticity, but also now there's a new field of epigenetics. And that is saying, like actually all these, there's 1%. It's been proven now that 1% of diseases are actually genetic. The rest is caused by environmental factors. And we won't go into epigenetics now, it's a whole nother topic. But if you're interested in it, go and have a look, because that states that, going back to our holistic success stuff, the mind, the body, and the soul, all of this working together can actually help. That genes don't just switch on and off, they react to their environment. Their environment is our blood. What's in our blood? Chemicals, neurotransmitters. How do we affect them? By the way we feel, by stress, by our emotions. And so actually, yes, you may have a genetic predisposition to something, but you can still be in control of that. We could start talking about ancestral healing, but these genetics are passed down through sets of beliefs, through the way that our ancestors have processed emotions and seen the world through their beliefs, and it gets passed down in the genetics. But actually, that's why I feel a lot of us here now are here to break ancestral patterns. We're here to break generational patterns. And so in my belief, in the way that I see the world, I truly believe that we can do that on a genetic, we are doing that on a genetic level. You are not doomed by your genetics. And I'm really, really passionate about that.
Me
as well.
too. I think it's essential. I think it's I think it will, not just you're a healer. I think I am in some way too. And I think that's how we heal so many things, illnesses as well. I think health will improve when we can tap into this, because these emotions that come from our thinking, and the thinking that comes from a lot of the fear and so on, it's actually mind-blowing what's possible. But that's, again, talking as big and audaciously as that surely taps into a level of curiosity, open-mindedness. If you're close to all of that, if you're like, whatever, don't want to hear it, stay stuck then. But if you actually want change, or you want something to be better or feel better or experience your time on this planet to the highest level possible, then open up to what is possible.
Exactly. And that is, I think that's the key to everything. Be open to everything and be audacious. Like, have the biggest, boldest ideas, because what have you got to lose? It's no different to the positive thinking, isn't it? You can choose to be positive, or you can choose to be negative, and your reality is going to reflect that. So, and like you said earlier, we're all addicted, well, most of us are addicted to the struggle. We're addicted to the stress hormones that flood our bodies. And again, it's these exact stress hormones that cause disease in the body, right? So again, something that I'm really passionate that I do with the people that I work with, as you know, Lucy, is like, we're reprogramming beliefs to these big beliefs. Life gets to be beautiful. Let go of the struggle. The universe is always working to help you. You have unseen forces helping you. You are a powerful creator. All these things, if you can open your mind to just experiencing the world in that way, or at least being open to that could be a possibility, you will start seeing things opening up to you. You'll start seeing a change. And then because of that, because of those beliefs, because of that openness, you will become healthier. You will start seeing that you have more control over your life and the circumstances that you're in. So that, yeah, if you are stuck in a really, shitty rut, basically, where you think, like, I don't know how to get out of this, you start having beliefs like that and thinking that. And again, this is where the stubbornness comes in, the tenacity that you've had. I'm so stubborn. I refuse to not see it that way, because I'm like, well, there's no other choice for me. I will. And if you can hold on to that, and again, like I said, it's not easy all the time. It takes work, but it's so, so, so worth it. The more you can open up to those big, audacious beliefs, the more you're going to see your life change in really quite magical ways.
Definitely. And you can sit in any situation with belief or no hope. And I can tell you which one feels better. We need hope. We need hope's one of our main things that we need to survive, but so are people, so is connection. And if we place all of our outcomes in the hands of other people or things or circumstances, what like you're at the mercy then of things happening to you or for you that you have no control of. So I this is where I guess the blame game comes in. It's like, well, whatever it is, no matter who you might be mad at, no matter who you might feel frustrated with, because if they hadn't done that, then this wouldn't have happened, and then that may have been different, or whatever. If you just go, right now, this minute, this moment in the stamp in time, because time's theoretical anyway, this is what is. This is what is. So choose to be okay with it. Choose to be not okay with it and do something about it. But don't wait for or expect someone or something to happen for you or change it for you, because that's just like, well, possibly not going to happen.
And you're like a leaf blowing in the wind, aren't you? You're at the mercy of everything else. And I know that's how I felt. Like I was 100% in victim mentality mode, 100%. And that's why I feel like I can talk about it now, because there's no judgment here when I'm saying people in victim mentality. I was the biggest victim, 100%.
Yeah, I think we all go there at stages, don't we?
And because I think we're programmed to be victims, aren't we? Because that's great, because when you're a victim, you're controllable. And you stay in your place. You don't start like rising to your greatness. And again, this is a whole nother topic, but I just think the people that are in control and the people that are trying to control us want us to be there. Of course, they don't want people like you or I busting out like rebels going, hang on a minute, you don't need anyone else. You are amazing. You're powerful. Well, that's not very helpful to a society that's going to work as drones and,
right.
Right. But I'm so passionate about it because I'm like, I want every single person to be in their purpose, to be in their joy, because how bloody amazing would the world be if everyone is doing what they love, what lights them up? We're all going to benefit from it. So yes, you're going to benefit from it as a person, but then like you do the thing that lights you up. I want to come work with you because I know I'm going to get the best out of you. You do the thing that lights you up. Like, even if that is, and again, this is so important, we don't all have to have huge, incredible, like life-changing jobs and purposes. Your purpose could be purely that you work in a shop and every day, whoever comes in that shop, you just brighten their day, you light it up. That could be enough to change someone's world around. That's just as important as someone who is, like on big stages, motivational speakers. It's all just as important. And I think that
you read my mind. I'm literally like, we had the same thought processes, because I was thinking the same thing, and that all the roles matter. Like it's, and I've shared some content not long ago about not everyone's a front man, and I think it's that thing of like you like in anything, you have front of house, behind the scenes, like all the different moving parts. So no, it doesn't mean everybody needs to be a big crazy neurodiverse leader. It means that some people do, and some people need the really solid conscientious, supportive, everyone, all the parts matter. And it's leaning into what you are strongest at, what lights you up, what's your superpower. And there's no judgment, because all the roles matter. There's definitely there's no hierarchy whatsoever. Like,
Nope.
And I think the more empowered people become, the more you then want to empower other people. Does that make sense? Because I think you two had that. You've always wanted to empower, haven't you? And I think you've empowered me, and that has led me onto being mindful of, I want to empower, because I feel what that's like now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're just spreading it. It's just rippling out, isn't it? The more you can do that.
Yeah.
And you described Becky as like she's your, like, my version of my Emma. So like your right hand woman that that you work alongside. And I'm sure you would say the same as me, which is like, I couldn't do what I do without my person. And it's whether they come in the form of someone that you work with, or a spouse, or even a parent or child, or whoever, friends, we all need people. We all need those people. And energetically, I think as we rise, I'm sure we've talked about this, but as we rise, others either come and match you, or they fall away. And I think what's dangerous is the ties to the ones that are here that are not coming to match you. And inevitably, they might not pull you all the way here, but they'll certainly bring you down a bit. And do you keep going to try to bring them here? Or is there a point that you go, okay, well, I've done my best, and this isn't serving me anymore? That's easier when they're not family. If it's family, it could be really hard to let go. But I think I know, again, I'm really stubborn. I'm like, I'll keep going. But I believe in people, and I believe that even people that have really hurt me, or really I feel done wrong by me, or been, I don't hold any ugly feeling towards that. I have so much compassion that people use the best tools, resources, know-how, emotional strength that they have at their disposal at any one time. And it's sometimes it doesn't line up, and that's okay. And I hope, all I ever do is I hope they're okay, and that things get better.
Yeah, exactly. And you took the words right out of my mouth as well. It's difficult when you're a caring person and you care for people to let go sometimes. And, I've had to learn some lessons and repeat patterns over and over until finally I'm like, right, okay. And that's a whole nother load of work that people, like us, who are obviously listening as well, we're all those kind of similar people. It's a lot of work on letting go of this responsibility for others, because we care so much. It's tough to actually let go. But again, always realizing that when you are at your highest potential, that's what you have to do. You have to focus on yourself, you be at your highest vibrational potential, because then you are just going to automatically raise others with you. And everyone's on their own journey. We say this all the time, aren't they? They're not ready, and that's not because you're better or they're worse. It's not about that. It is about the journey, and you just have to stay in. We were saying this earlier, aren't we? You have to stay in your own lane. You really, really do. And you can, and like you said, again, having that love and compassion for others. It's not about, I'm going to cut you out because you're toxic to me. No. No, it's about making that decision out of self-love for yourself, and knowing that is ultimately what you're aiming for. You are aiming that, to be the best version of you can be, because in that way, that is actually how you're going to help people for the best. And again, and I don't want to get into this again because we've spoken about this, but you can be toxic to those people around you because of your vibration, and because you see the world. You get to a point where you start seeing the world so differently that the way you see the world, you're almost denying their reality.
And then they don't like that.
No, of course they don't, because
because then that becomes, then, like you say, you're toxic to them. I think of it as being nice isn't always being kind. And also when if you open your heart to all those things, you then don't necessarily have the boundaries, so you can end up letting too much of that in. But I've learned that the hard way. Like, it's like, oh, but that's nice and I'm nice and I'm a nice person. But actually, you can be, if you give the nice all the time, you actually sometimes aren't serving the person in front of you. And sometimes the kinder thing to do isn't as nice, but it's kinder to them in the long run. It's the kinder thing to do. And I think that's something I reflect on sometimes, and like, is that nice or is that kind? Where does this sit? When you are a nice person, I know I'm a nice person, so I'm like, to my detriment, you know, and especially when it comes to money. I mean, I give so much away and I undervalue things. I've caught myself again recently, and I'm like, why am I doing? You know, but it's because that's at my core. That is what I want to do. I want to give. I want to make a difference. I want to serve. But sometimes I'm too open to that, and I need to go, hang on, it's like charging stuff and price structure, isn't it? It's like, oh, it's nice, I'll be nice and it won't cost as much, but actually the kind of thing might be that it should cost more, because then, you know, people will actually value it more, it holds them accountable, and they will actually participate and show up and so on. And you know, I can teach this all day long. I don't always do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so important to know as well, isn't it? People like us who are talking about this, and you know, we're teaching others, we're not sat here going, and we're the, you know, like,
no,
we've got it all down. 100%.
You're always catching yourself
always
saying, oh, hang on a minute, I've got to practice what I preach.
You don't have to be perfect at stuff to teach it, though. And that's the other thing I've really learned, is that, you know, I've got people doing things I've told them to do and smashing it with that thing, and I'm not doing it myself, and I'm like, maybe I should actually do it.
Well, you know, that happened when I was working with you. I'm like, right, that's a I need to do that as well.
That's one for me as well.
Write that down for myself. But I also think that's a really great quality of a good teacher or leader. Always, and I always say this, you know, my students, you know, are also my greatest teachers. I'm always in the role of, what can I learn? What can they teach me? Yes, I want to help them as well, but you are helping me just as much as I'm helping you. And I'll never, well, if I ever did stop seeing it in that way, I'd have to check myself and say, stop what you're doing for a second, get yourself back in, because I never want my ego. I just think this is what's needed, isn't it, in the new kind of leaders and teachers.
I think so. People that, I guess, position themselves, they're the almighty and all the followers must obey and do as they're told. Like, I just don't think that, it doesn't really serve. That's the thing, is it doesn't really serve them. It's not like, like I said, really about like learning and coaching programs and all these kinds of things we see in the online space. Like, it doesn't serve them anyway. One or two, sure, but the real like empowerment, the real elevation, the real like overall ability to thrive in every area in life comes from those people that can help you and support you, in almost like you're walking through the woods and they're going to help you clear the trees, you know. But they're not going to do it for you. They're going to help you and then go, wait a second, do you think we should go that way? Maybe that way. But what about these reasons? Should we just break that down a minute and then you know, come to a solution? Because no, we can't do it all by ourselves, but we also can't lean on or expect that any other human being has just got the perfect answer to pave the way for us. I don't think that's true of anything. And you know,
you're so right. You've got all the answers within yourself. And that's why I love what I do, because hypnosis and the subconscious work, it gives me a way to help people unlock what's already within them. I like, the first thing I say is I'm not going to heal you. I'm not going to tell you what you have to do or what's wrong with you. You're going to tell me. I'm just a guide and I'll get it out of you. And I'm good at doing that. But you're going to do the work.
And this is why you and a few other people I know and myself, we don't credit ourselves with our clients' results. We're not like, I got my client that result. It's like, no, they did. I just helped to facilitate it. I was just a light bringer, a way shower, a unlocker. You know, it's a collaboration ultimately, isn't it? And it's I can't bear, like, yes, I understand testimonials and things like that. It's like, yes, through this connection, I accomplished this with the help from this person. And I think that's great. And we should recognize people for that. But I don't like the thing of like, that's because of me.
Yeah.
That one of my franchisees that's smashing it on socials at the moment, I know that there's strategy behind that I taught her and showed her, and I'm sure I'm part of the inspiration and the facilitation of that, but I didn't do it. She did it. I mean, all of them know the same stuff, but she's the one that's doing it off the charts, and it's like, they all could, so why should I'm not going to credit myself with those results? And that's something that you see. There are people out there that do, and it's all about like, that's because of me. Like you say, it's ego led.
It is, and it does, and it doesn't serve.
You two are doing what you're born to do,
quietly as well, and with dignity. I think there's something to be said for that. There's boom and bust and loud and whatever. I'm comfortable with my level of just quietly doing my thing and
chipping away, and it goes back to that thing, doesn't it? Like, we don't have to all be these huge, Tony Robbins kind of people. We can be chipping away in the quiet, helping the people that we're helping, and know that that's enough. And again, don't get me wrong, I have to keep reminding myself of that when I'm like, I want more people to hear the podcast, and why can't. But I'm like, hang on a second, all the comments, the amazing comments we get from people that are just saying these wonderful things, like, can't believe, like, this has helped us so much, or I'm like, that's enough. That's what it's about. And if if it stayed that way for the rest of the time, we'll still continue doing it. We'll still continue having fun because we love it. It lights us up. It's helping those people, and that's enough. But alternatively, if it's supposed to get bigger, that's great too.
Exactly. And all in the divine timing, right?
Exactly. Oh, it's been such an amazing conversation with you, Lucy. Thank you so much. Before we go, is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with? Any message, anything you'd like them to hold on to?
I mean, I think we've dropped a few big bombs today, so I wouldn't know where to start. I think you might have to bullet point them in the show notes. I think maybe if I were to try and kind of summarize it and bring it all back together, and I hadn't pre-planned this either, this is just from this organic conversation, I really think that the underlying thread here is self-belief and believing in your holistic journey, whatever that may be, accessing the tools, the resources, the help that you need, but owning it, like completely owning it. No, there's no pre-written formula for you, but if you feel like called to work with this person or that, I felt called to work with Tash. I didn't know anything about her. I did no research whatsoever. I had no reason or understanding as to why. I was just like, I'm going to do some work with her. Very, very funny, weird sort of energetic pull. But like, if you feel like something is pulling you, if you feel like almost that whisper that won't go away, I think that's when your soul is calling you, and lean into that and see where it takes you, because like you said, what's the worst that can happen?
Amazing.
Say no more. That was perfect.
Oh, thank you so much again, Lucy. And thank you to everyone for listening. We will see you next time. Take care, guys.
Bye.